Here we are, everybody. Welcome back to the Red Arrows Formula 1 League for the latest round in this season 15 here, as we're here tonight at Interlagos for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and a very special event here for the Red Arrows Formula 1 League here tonight. We've got a full race distance, 71 laps of Interlagos, the Jose Carlos Pache, which has obviously been hosting the Brazilian Grand Prix now for probably about 40 years, I think it is, maybe even longer than that. And tonight we're going to be seeing the full experience that you guys would see in the real life Formula 1, which is something that I have never done actually on this F1 25 game. I've driven a couple of 100% races, well, quite a few actually on career mode, because I like the authenticity of doing full race distances in career mode. And here tonight I'm going to commentate on one. This is a first for me in terms of commentating on a full race distance, so it's going to be a big test of my vocals here tonight after I was a bit ill last week, but more than for me, it's going to be a test for all these drivers. There are 20 drivers out on the track, a full grid here for tonight, a great turnout. Let's see how many of them can go all the way to the checkered flag here, as we've got Brad Races on pole, with Glenn, the two-time purple sector champion, lining up alongside him on the front row. So he's going to be a big threat here to Brad off of the line. We've also got Pavlison and Jordan Hillier qualifying very nicely there on row 2. You've got Formula C there ahead of Makati, followed by ZX10 and Meldav, with Lycorius and Nobby Bootneck there completing the top 10. Little Mahin in 11th, followed by Murph. Then you've got SLH ahead of CJ Drama, Andrew Pittsmith there in 15th ahead of Always Grinding, with Super Calgon ahead of Honey Badger. And we've also got M. Harry and Angry Guns at the back of the grid. But here we are, lights are on. And it's lights out and we're underway. It's a good start from Brad. Got away beautifully there. And Pavlison's got the jump on Glenn around the outside into turn 1 as well, as we see Formula C there on the inside of Jordan Hillier. Although Jordan managing to get that position back there coming through turn 3. But Brad leading as they come through. Come down this little straight here for the first time, as Glenn has got back up into second place here ahead of Pavlison down the straight. Pavlison looking back to the inside here into the next corner, and in the end he's going to have to concede that one and almost lose out to Formula C as well. Formula C getting around the outside of Jordan Hillier there up into 4th place for the time being, as we've got Little Mahin there moving ahead of Makati. And Little Mahin has had an absolute flyer of a start here. Has gone from, was down in the bottom half of the grid, but is currently up in 7th place here after the first few corners. So Little Mahin making very quick progress. Andrew Pittsmith has also picked up a few places here, from 15th on the grid up into 12th place. So it's been a good start from him so far. But it's Brad who has the lead here on this opening lap. Pavlison keeping tabs with him at the moment, as Honey Badger's got ahead of CJ here up into 13th place. Honey Badger can now try and focus his attention just up ahead on these drivers who are on the fringes of the points paying positions at the moment. But it's Brad who has Angry Guns has lost it here on the first lap, and he's on the infield there. He's got it back pointing in the right direction again, but that's the right kerfuffle there for him, as we see Honey Badger's got ahead of Andrew Pittsmith here up into 12th place. So Honey Badger continuing to pick drivers off here, as Always Grinding ahead of Super Calgon now in 15th place. Lycorius into the pits here at the end of lap 1. Is that damage there? Was that potentially with the collision with Angry Guns, or were they separate incidents there? We're not quite sure at the moment if those two came together. But in the meantime, it's Brad out the front, as we see Jordan and Glenn side by side, and Glenn under threat of losing more places here. Has lost out to Formula C whilst we were looking away, and he's also now got the Ferrari of Jordan looking up his inside, as Jordan's looking to try and force the initiative here. But at the moment, Glenn clinging on to that one and remaining in 4th place for the time being. Brad out the front here has got the gap just under half a second to Pavlison at the moment. Pavlison is not letting him off the hook at the moment, but Brad is looking a surefire thing for this season's title, as things stand after winning last week around Austria on the reverse configuration of the Red Bull ring. And he's currently got a slender advantage here over the Red Bull at the moment. There's Formula C ahead of Clem, with Jordan completing the top 5. ZX10 ahead of Little Mahin, followed by Makati, Nobby Bootneck, with Murph there running in P10 at the moment. Then you've got Honey Badger just behind, with Andrew Pittsmith still within the DRS of Honey Badger at the moment. SLH, CJ Drama, there's Always Grinding ahead of Super Calgon, with M. Harry, Meldow, Angry Guns and Lycorius there running in P20, having come into the pits for that very early pit stop indeed. But down this straight here, down towards turn 4 again, Pavlison a little bit too far back on Brad to put him under any serious pressure at the moment. In the background there, you had a move being shaped up there going into turn 4, as looking like we've got M. Harry there moving ahead of Super Calgon around the outside up into P16. Super Calgon's not giving this one up though, but M. Harry does get that one done around the outside, as M. Harry ever so wide there, but keeping it within track limits there just about. Jordan Hillier though is all over the back of Clen in this fight for 4th place, as these drivers are all in a train of cars here. It's all the way from 1st down to 8th place. They're all in the DRS train, but Formula C and Jordan both on the soft tyres, and those soft tyres are not going to have the longevity that the guys on the mediums have, not by any stretch. So that could be paying dividends here for the medium runners later on in this stint compared to the soft, as we see there the McLaren very wide there in the background of Clen. But keeping on to it for the time being, as Pavlison's making a move to the outside for the lead of the race, and has made that move there on Brad Races up into P1, so very nicely done there from Pavlison. In the meantime, we've got Nobby Bootneck and Murph side by side, as Nobby Bootneck tries to close the door, and Murph has a bit of a twitch there, almost had a spin, did well to hold on to that one, but Nobby Bootneck has moved up into 9th place with that one. Now it looks like we've got Honey Badger attacking all over the back of Murph as well, but Murph's trying to come back at Nobby Bootneck here, down towards turn 4 we go, looks to the inside, has nowhere to go there, as Nobby turned into the corner. And Murph, for the time being, has to settle for losing that position there to Nobby Bootneck. But it's still Pavlison out the front leading the race. We see Murph almost losing out to Honey Badger there as well. Honey Badger looking to try and knock him while he's down, as Murph there running into the back of Nobby Bootneck, getting a little bit agitated here by the looks of it. Maybe just feeling under a bit of pressure. It's early doors here. You do not want to be getting agitated in a 100% race distance Grand Prix here on the F125 game, because if you get yourself wound up now, then God help you for the rest of it. But at the moment, Murph's still stuck behind the RB here of Nobby Bootneck. Here they come up the hill. Murph's now going to get a chance to exact his revenge. In the meantime, though, we've got to go to the leaders, because Brad is all over the back of Pavlison around the outside into turn 1. It's a role reverse of the previous lap. Oh, but Pavlison, though, sending it back up the inside. He's going to have to take a tight line there because he needs to avoid the collision. He wasn't ahead at the apex, so he needs to be careful there. Clen there's got ahead of Jordan Hillier, back up into 4th place here as they come down the little straight once again. He's got a slipstream here off of the guys ahead, as Pavlison once again there pulling a move there on Brad into turn 4, and has got that move done again. Murph has also managed to get back ahead of Nobby Bootneck, as Honey Badger is following him through as well there into P10. A bit wide there was Honey Badger on the exit, but has managed to get back ahead of Nobby there up into 10th place for the time being. We see McCarthy here has got ahead of Little Mahin, and Little Mahin is oh, what's going on here with Little Mahin? Little Mahin, oh my goodness me, he's done a Verstappen in Spain earlier this season. He's gone and completely down on speed and totally out of momentum going into the corner, but has nonetheless sent it on the brakes, and on a weekend where it was pretty apt, obviously that it's mentioned, because Verstappen ultimately lost the championship because of that move on Russell, which got him the penalty. And here tonight, Little Mahin there doing something similar, albeit it's not likely to affect a championship, because Little Mahin is not in the championship battle. But nonetheless, Brad here, who is a man who could wrap up the championship possibly next week, I think it is. I don't think he can do it this week. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I don't think he can do it just yet. But he's certainly got to be pretty close to it. Honey Badger here has dropped. In fact, no, he's got ahead of some drivers here. Little Mahin has dropped behind CJ and SLH now, and potentially always behind a little, always grinding as well, as he gets by there going into turn 4. We've also got Meldav there moving ahead of M. Harry up into 16th place. Up the inside he goes into that position. But Little Mahin is going backwards at the moment and just needs to regroup and go again here, because things are only spiraling out of control at the moment. Clen has managed to get back ahead of Jordan again, as these two are battling it out here through the next few corners. These guys got to be careful, because they're going to lose DRS to the leaders if they mess about too much. Jordan on the soft tyres is in a bit of a hurry here to get on with things in the early stage of this race, but the guys on the medium tyres are going to just be patiently waiting for their tyres to come to them. But as they come back up the hill once again, it's Pavlison who is your race leader for the time being, but that is about to change, I reckon. We've seen it happen a few times already here in this race. Brad to the inside, Actually got very close to the back of him there. As here comes Formula C now looking to the inside as well. And he has to stamp on the brakes there to avoid running into the guys in front as Pavlison there, keeping it around the outside of the centre S's. Who's going to get DRS? It's going to be close here because they were both very, very close going through the DRS detection point. I don't think either of them has DRS. The guys behind them do though, as there is Formula C trying to slingshot both of them here. Into turn 4, round the outside of Pavlison he goes. Oh, this is a collision in the background there. Clen getting caught up in that one. Jordan's up into 4th place. Clen there has dropped behind McCarthy in that one. And Clen down to P6, now falling back into the clutches of the ZX10. And what happened there? I know he was battling with Jordan. I don't know if those two made contact. Was it Jordan or was it the McCarthy? I didn't see. All I saw was Clen's car half rounded in the background. Maybe Clen lost it himself. I don't quite know. But we'll have to obviously find that out later on. But Honey Badger's moved ahead of Murph up into 8th place here. And that's a move that's done there. 4 position. We've got Pavlison here still battling with Formula C out in front. Formula C came for both Brad and Pavlison there going into turn 4 on that previous lap. Neither of them had DRS. They must have been practically dead level at the DRS detection point. But we've got Formula C now looking to the outside and is going to take the lead of the race here at Interlagos at the start of lap 8. So Formula C has gone and taken the initiative here in this fight out the front of the field. Jordan is now trying to hunt these top 3 down on his soft tyres. Formula C though, also on the soft tyres, is currently doing the business. Here comes Pavlison again to the outside into turn 4 and gets that one done. Chops his nose there, does Pavlison, and says no Formula C, I'm having this P1 for the time being. As Clen here still trying to keep ZX10 and Honey Badger and Murph at bay in that fight for P6 at the moment. Also got Andrew Pittsmith here attacking on Nobby Bootneck here for the final point, as Nobby Bootneck there squeezes him going into the corner and says, don't even think about trying to go around the outside of me there, Andrew. That's not going to happen, son. Andrew Pittsmith is going to have to wait a little bit longer here to get himself into P10. Obviously, I called it the points because it's a habit. Red Arrows do not have points beyond the top 10, so just want to clarify that for anyone watching this, any Red Arrows drivers who are sat there saying, who does this guy think he is? He knows nothing about our league whatsoever. I do apologise, guys, it's a habit. Sorry, it's just a force of habit. But anyway, Formula C coming up on the back of Pavlison here, down towards turn 1 again. He's going to make the move here up the inside into turn 1, and that's going to be an easy move there for Formula C. And once again here, these guys are trading places, but I feel we're going to see the same thing once again. We've seen it so many times over these first few laps. Brad's pretty close to these guys as well, but Pavlison is going to try and make the move. Saying that though, Formula C's got good straight line speed, and as they come into turn 4, has held on to the lead this time around, so he's clearly done a good job there with a setup to stay close in the infield sections here, and has made the most of it. CJ Drama there up the inside of Nubby Bootleg up into P10. Little Mahid also making the move on Andrew Pittsmith, who's lost a couple of places here on this latest lap. You've got Meldab there moving ahead of SLH in the background as well. So many battles going on at the moment. Angry Guns getting ahead of Super Calgon up into 18th place after that spin on the first lap. Angry Guns is coming back through the pack in these early stages of the race. But Formula C is your race leader. I'll tell you what, I'd love if they did 100% race distance every week. That'd be so cool to see that. That would be awesome. But nonetheless, we have got Formula C out the front, coming around the final corner once again. But oh my goodness me, Pavlison there almost having a crash as he was swerving there. Formula C behind, or rather Brad was right there with them, but Brad's now going to have DRS, I think, down the little straight towards turn 4. He's going to breeze past the Red Bull here. Pavlison pretty vulnerable there. Formula C in the background being overtaken by both of them just a moment ago. Now sat there with a good view of this action going on in front of him, but Formula C on those soft tyres. He's got Jordan, his fellow soft runner, and McCarthy as well on the rear of him. But it's been an electric opening few laps to the race. It's been non-stop action so far, and we're only 10 laps into this one with 71 altogether on the clock to do here tonight. But great racing here tonight at Interlagos so far. Angry Guns here still tacking on the back of Meldav here, as it looks like we've got M. Harry a bit out of sync here, and Meldav here is going to make a move to the outside now as well, as they're coming round the final corner, keeping an eye on the battle at the front, because there is that is still raging on here between these guys at the moment. SLH here looking to the outside of Andrew Pittsmith here into turn one, but Andrew's there, got the inside line, covers that one off for the time being. We've got Honey Badger there losing out to Murph. Murph's back up into 8th place here in that particular fight. Obviously the soft tyres are going to be starting to pull the pace a little bit now, and Honey Badger will be, I'm sure, knowing that full well at this point. Angry Guns has just moved ahead of Meldav up into P17, as these guys are coming on the exit of turn 5 at the moment. Murph there with a 3-second penalty, as Angry Guns looking to the inside there of M. Harry into turn 6, but just a little bit too far away at the moment, and it's going to have to hold position there in 17th spot. Pavlisson still out the front with the gap at 0.4 of a second over Brad. These guys are still sticking to each other like glue at the moment. Jordan Hillier is all over Formula C as they come out of this final braking zone. Youngsau back up the hill once again. And what has Jordan got to throw here at Formula C as they come over the line here to complete lap 11 of the race in the foreground there? You've still got that battle raging on as Brad there looking around the outside of Pavlisson into turn 1. He's going to have the inside for the centre S's here and just about squeezes through there as Brad, and that was an aggressive move there from Brad. I have to say Pavlisson had to be pretty conscientious there to avoid causing a pretty serious collision. Oh no, I was to say that! Oh no, Formula C has taken out Jordan Hillier. Oh no, Jordan Hillier is going to be absolutely fuming with that one. Formula C in the end gets away pretty lightly with that one. He's still running in P5. Is it going to be a safety car? If it is, he'll be given a bit of a reprieve. I don't think it is, so it's at least a VSC. I'm very surprised that's not a safety car, but Jordan Hillier out of the race here on lap 12. That is gutting there for Jordan. He would have had high hopes for this one, especially being where he was at that point. That promotes Glenn up into 4th place. It promotes McCarthy into the podium positions for the time being. So this race has been blown wide open at the front in terms of the podium positions. Formula C is going to have damage, and he's going to have to come into the pits here at the end of this lap. So he'll be a bit, well, that's going to maybe mix up his strategy a little bit. We don't know if he was planning on, or we don't know what he was planning to do with the tyre strategy in this one, but it's definitely going to switch things up a little bit. But what a shame there for Jordan Hillier, caught up in an incident. Formula C was swerving there as he was trying to make a pass down the straight towards turn 4. In the end, misjudged, I think, the gap, or misjudged the closing speed that he had on the car ahead, swerved onto the grass, and unfortunately the ensuing chaos was a result of that. Formula C is continuing on for the time being. I don't know what sort of damage he has on the car at the moment. His teammate has done bits over the last few laps and has got up into 8th place, so CJ Drama has gained a couple of positions here. But Formula C here running in P5 just ahead of ZX10 at the moment. We can see little Mahin there's got back ahead of Nobby Bootneck up into 9th place at the moment. As we've got Honey Badger in the pits at the end of lap 12, and back out onto the track he goes. But Pavlisson out the front still with a gap at just under a second over Brad races at the moment. There's McCarthy with Glenn. Formula C there just ahead of ZX10 and Murph at the moment. Murph with that 3-second penalty at the moment. There's CJ, Little Mahin, Nobby Bootneck ahead of Always Grinding, Andrew Pittsmith, SLH there ahead of M. Harry. You've got Meldav, Angry Guns, Super Calgon there running in P17 with Honey Badger a long way behind there in 18th ahead of Lycorius, who came in for that early pit stop. But with that crash with Formula C and Jordan, it's kind of left Pavlisson and Brad races on their own out the front here. These two 3 seconds clear of McCarthy, who's battling with Glenn at the moment. Glenn trying to move up into the podium places, and he's done that one as Glenn into turn 4, up into P3 he goes within 3 seconds of the two leaders who continue to fight it out. So Glenn could well and truly be in the fight for the win here tonight, as we see ZX10 has got ahead of Formula C up into P5. But Glenn sat within 3 seconds of the top two, who are fighting, so that could present him with a chance to close the gap here to these two, because these two are going to be slowing each other down a little bit, what with duelling it out here at the front of the pack. Super Calgon has got a 3-second time penalty there for multiple track limit warnings. As the two leaders here coming up the hill once again. And Brad here has got DRS again here as they come down the straight. He's going to be looking to the outside here as they come down towards turn 1. Pavlisson trying to squeeze him to the edge of the track there. Nothing doing. Can't find a way around at the moment, can Brad. We've got Formula C there moving ahead of S15 up into P5. He's managed to get that position back after losing it over the course of that lap. There's Brad there up the inside of Pavlisson, back up into the P1 once again. Clen still ahead of McCarthy there in the fight for 3rd place. So we've got Andrew Pittman and SLH very close here. SLH looking to the inside there into turn 4, just a little bit too far away at the moment. It's Brad still out the front here with Harbour 2nd. They have a gap right now over Pavlisson. You've got McCarthy still knocking on the door of a 3rd place at the moment. ZX Tenor and Murph still well within striking distance of the Sauber of Formula C at the moment. Nobby, Andrew, SLH here, all in a bit of a trade, and Mem Harry, Angry Guns, Meldav, all the way down to Super Calgon here. There's currently 8 of them in a line. As Brad is all over the back of Pavlisson again here. Down towards turn 4 once again with a bit of DRS here. Brad now looks to the inside. Is he too far back? Oh my goodness me, Pavlisson there. I'll tell you what, that was on the absolute borderline of what you can call acceptable driving there. The way he closed the door when Brad was on the inside. Brad, I'm sure, won't be too happy with that one. If Pavlisson does that too often, I reckon the stewards might want a word. But Angry Guns has got ahead of him. Harry up into P14 nonetheless. As we see them coming through on the exit of turn 5 at the moment. Harry looking a bit to the inside there, but can't get anything done at the moment. Angry Guns picking off another driver here after that first lap spin. Has made decent progress since then, so far anyway. But looks like Pavlisson and Brad have now got Clen looming a bit larger now in well, he's not going to be quite in their mirrors yet, but he's only about a second behind him as they continue to battle. Brad here on the inside now powers past Pavlisson once again, but Clen now crucially within that 1 second here of these two whilst they continue to fight it out. And Clen is well and truly in this fight for the win here tonight. The 2-time champion of the Purple Sector Formula 1 League on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Also races in the Misfits Leagues on Sunday nights. All of them are covered on my channel, which you would be watching this on now, because I don't believe anyone downloads my videos and rebroadcasts them. Although obviously if any of these leagues do have their own YouTube channels, then they'd be more than welcome to do that. But Angry Guns getting ahead of SLH up into 12th place nonetheless. Formula C there coming into the pits at the end of lap 16 has come back out on a set of hard tyres. Let's see how far he can get on those. Having started on the softs, he's done a decent stint on the soft tyres, in all fairness. I wonder if you can one stop here. I wouldn't have thought that would be plausible, but who knows. But Brad nonetheless has the gap at 4 tenths over Pavlisson as they come around this final bend here towards the line. Pavlisson to the inside once again here into turn 1 and makes that move well before they get to the apex. So X10 has also got ahead of McCarthy up into 4th place, so the soft tyres maybe starting to just grain a little bit here as the Williams has been passed there by the Alpine. You've got Murph here close it up onto these guys in the background as well there, currently running in P6. CJ is well within half a second of Little Mahin here as he's coming down towards turn 4, but just a little bit too far away there, always grinding. As we see Angry Guns there making a move now on Nobby Bootneck. That's another driver that Angry Guns has picked off here on his comeback drive, as we see SLH getting a bit wide there through turn 4 as well. Meldab didn't need a second invitation there and moves up into 13th place with that one. It's looking like now we have got a three-way battle out the front here with Pavlisson, Brad and Clen currently locking, well, these three locking horns here as Brad once again is going to get a good run here up the hill. Clen now within 7/10 of a second, even closer than that now. So Brad looking to the outside as Pavlison there could do nothing about it. Klen though is now within a stone's throw of these guys as Pavlison looking back to the inside, trying to force Brad to take a more compromised line there through the first corner. Oh, as Klen's got a 3-second penalty there for track limits. And it's early doors here in this race still. You don't want to pick anyone up now as we see Pavlison there making a move to the inside of Brad into turn 4 and has moved back ahead of him there going into the corner. So he's done that pretty nicely there with Pavlison. CJ Drama a little bit too far away from little Matt Hayden at the moment to make that move into turn 4. Andrew Pittsmith here has got to Melder hassling the back of him. Andrew's also trying to attack on Nobby Bootneck as well here. Honey Badger here looking to the outside of Super Calgon, and Super Calgon there clinging onto that one on the inside line as they went through turn 6. Nobby's still there ahead of Andrew and Meldev at the moment. There's SLH, Harry. Honey Badger's just got ahead of Super Calgon here, up into 16th place. And Brad and Pavlison side by side again. Klen's managed to close right up onto the back of these guys now, but Klen will be fully aware he needs to not only be ahead of these guys, but he needs to have a 3-second gap at the checkered flag. That's if he doesn't get more penalties. As Pavlison down the inside of Brad there going into the corner. Goes a little bit deep though on the exit of the corner. Brad's going to get a run here through the next sequence as they're still side by side up the hill. And Pavlison there is going to hold the inside line, gets a nice turn in there going into the apex. And for the time being, clings onto that one. Brad though is trying to come back at him, and they're making a great fight out of it, these two out the front. Klen is really hunting them down though. But obviously with that penalty, he's going to be feeling a little bit demoralised at this point. There's the next tenor still there in 4th place right behind these. This is a 4-car train here battling over the lead of the race. It's been an exciting race so far. We're barely even into this race at all at the moment. We're only just getting started at this point as Honey Badger has moved ahead of SLH up into 14th place as well. Back to the leader, so Brad now looking to the outside into turn 1 and it's going to swoop around there. Oh, it's Pavlison though late on the brakes. Brad though still managed to stay there. Who's going to have DRS? Is it going to be neither of them again? No, Brad has DRS, so Brad's going to be able to slingshot him down towards turn 4 and it's going to be on the outside just ahead there into the corner. Brad tries to close the door. Pavlison sending it back up the inside and has pushed him wide there, and that's going to allow Klen up into the lead of the race. ZX10 getting ahead of Brad as well, so Klen here takes P1 by the skin of his teeth. ZX10 to the outside now of Pavlison bit driving very aggressively here, and I'll tell you what, Brad's not going to be happy one bit with that one as he drops down to P4. Pavlison there I think was a bit overly aggressive. Brad knew what Pavlison was going to do, tried to close the door going into the corner. He turned in a bit early, to be fair. I think he was taking a normal line-ish, but whether or not Brad turned in a bit too early and maybe moved under braking, we'll have to see. Maybe they had already started turning into the corner at that point. It could have been that he moved under braking, but it was a tight call, I have to say. It's a difficult one. I'd have had to see the onboard there to know, but nonetheless, we've got ZX10 here all over the back of Pavlison, but these guys are almost a second now behind the race leader Klen, and they're struggling to keep tabs with the leader at the moment as they come through the centre S's here on lap 22 of this Brazilian Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows Formula 1 League. We see Nobby Bootneck into the pits to get those soft tyres off at the end of lap 22, funnily enough, but nonetheless it's still Klen who has a slender lead over Pavlison, ZX10 and Brad at the moment. These 4 guys have been the lead for a while. McCarthy falling off the pace a little bit on the soft tyres. I wonder if he's trying to get to a point where he can do a 1-stop, put the hards on and go to the end. Honey Badger put those hard tyres on 9 laps ago. I'm sure that there'll be another pit stop for him. Super Calgon has got back ahead of him. Harry here up into 15th place. As we've got Nobby Bootneck here just coming out of the pits on some fresh medium tyres, so Nobby Bootneck definitely 2-stopping here in this one. we come in. Leaders coming over the line here to complete lap 22 of the race. Pavlison within striking distance of Glenn. We've got Murph there moving ahead of McCarthy. That's because McCarthy is in the pits to get those soft tyres off. That only leaves Andrew Pittsmith now, of the drivers who started on the softs, to still be out on the circuit, and he's now coming in as well. So that's now all the soft runners having come into the pits to make their first pit stops to the race, as Pavlison once again up the inside of Glenn into turn 4. Brad running at the back of this quartet. I think he wants to stay the hell away from Pavlison at the moment. He's still within a second of the race lead, so it's not going to really be too much of an issue. Maybe being P4 at this moment in time is the safest spot in the house if you want to make it to the end of the race, but Pavlison at the moment has the lead. As the next turn was a bit wide onto the curb there, which would have just been a bit of a hairy moment there for him. That would have required a bit more lock towards the right than he would have ideally wanted, and obviously with the car being running over the curbs, you're going to find that it can be easily unsettled in those situations, so you are kind of running a bit of a risk. But Glenn back to the inside of Pavlison here into turn 1. Pavlison trying to hang it around the outside. Glenn there had to take a tight line, managed to hold it nicely there. Little Mahin into the pits here at the end of lap 23, as the leaders once again down towards turn 4. And Glenn here with a bit of DRS, but not really in range to do anything about it just there. Angry Guns still on the back of Always Grinding here in the fight for 7th place, has the DRS and is going to make the move pretty easy here down towards turn 4. That is job done there for him. Formula C also making a move here on SLH into P10 and moving into the top 10 here. Nicely done there from Formula C on those hard tyres, which have done a fair few laps now in all honesty. But it's still, I suppose, fresh-ish relatively compared to most of the drivers up ahead and some of the drivers behind for that matter. But we go back to the leaders here because we've got Pavlison and Glenn coming through the final corner once again. Glenn with a bit of DRS here is going to power past the Red Bull. Brad here, the first medium runner I reckon to come in for a scheduled stop. So he's going to go for the undercut here. Now that might force the likes of Glenn and Pavlison to react. Oh, as Glenn there was awkward on the racing line there. Pavlison trying to make the move here into turn 4 and makes that move without any issues there, but he's a bit wide and Glenn isn't in a position to go for the immediate return there. But Pavlison here getting the lead back off of Glenn, as it was a hairy moment there going down the straight towards turn 4. It looked like Glenn was kind of like made a move to sort of defend, then went back to the racing line. Pavlison got caught out by it a little bit. I think Pavlison planned to go to the outside, and then Glenn just stuck to the racing line, which wasn't what Pavlison expected Glenn to do. So then Pavlison had to then lift off the throttle a little bit to avoid running into the back of him, and then with the DRS still managed to get a run into turn 4. But at the moment we've got Brad here, who's come out in P11 just behind McCarthy on his fresh medium tyres. Brad is on the fresh medium tyres, McCarthy on the fresh soft. So at this point in the stint, McCarthy might have a small advantage. Oh, as Pavlison's got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit. So has Murph. Murph there obviously was following Pavlison in. Maybe Murph was copying the speed of Pavlison as he came steaming into the pit lane. Angry Guns is also in here at the end of lap 25. So 3 drivers coming in a lap after the first medium runner to come in, which was Brad, as Little Mahin on the fresh soft tyres there, doing the fastest lap of the race and 1:11.4 at this point in the race. But ZX Tenor and Glenn still out the front, bossing it here with just half a second between these two. But ZX Tenor getting back ahead of Glenn. I don't know if Glenn might have dropped it somewhere, because I think he was he was ahead of him. To be fair, I think ZX Tenor might have made the move in one of the DRS zones, but don't think I got it on the video. Don't know if I did. I might even have filmed it, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, looking like Glenn has just dropped out of DRS here to ZX Tenor, which is going to be quite pivotal here. ZX Tenor clearly still getting some good performance out of his medium tyres. Maybe Clen's starting to struggle a little bit. We'll have to see how this next lap goes. Maybe Clen just had a bit of a scruffy lap and has still got plenty left in the tank here underneath him. But these guys going a little bit longer than the drivers who were just ahead of them, as we've got Brad now moving ahead of McCarthy up into 8th place going into turn 1. In the foreground there you've got Patterson here trying to pick off SLH, has made that move there up into P6. We've also got Formula C there getting ahead of Always Grinding up into 4th place as well. Formula C a few seconds up the road, 7 seconds up the road from Patterson and Brad. Obviously Formula C's come into the pits 8 or 9 laps earlier than those two. Oh, it's Formula C, a big slide there, and Always Grinding there, getting back through, and didn't need a second invitation there. Formula C though struggling here, so it's been on those tyres for 10 laps, those hard tyres, but things seem to be unravelling a little bit here for Formula C. We've got Murph here moving ahead of Little Mahin up into P10, although Murph there getting a good exit out of that corner, and SLH there was a bit stoppy there as Murph there took full advantage. Little Mahin now getting ahead of the Hassett as well. Now M. Harry looking to try and move ahead of his teammate, as SLH seems to be all over the place at the moment. M. Harry on the same age tyres, same compound, but seems to be coping a little bit better with it at the moment, and is probably going to power past his teammate here as they come down the start-finish straight. Clen is in the pits here at the end of lap 27, so he'll get a bit of an undercut on ZX10. He'll have fresher tyres than the guys up ahead, but he's going to have lost time over this pit window, there's no doubt about it, as M. Harry ahead of SLH, because SLH is in the pits here at the end of lap 27. As Clen is back out onto the circuit, and he is ahead of Murph and Little Mahin, so crucial there for Clen. He's got a bit of clear air up ahead of him, 4 seconds to McCarthy and Brad, and Pavlison as well for that matter, so a bit fresher tyres as well. Clen might be planning to do a one stop here, because he did 27 laps on the mediums, so 44 laps on the hards. Not completely out of the question here, it has to be said. So Clen could potentially go all the way to the flag here. He's got a 3-second penalty, which is definitely going to be playing on his mind at this point though. See, Pavlison there's got a 3-second penalty, as so has Meldav as well. So it's starting to come in thick and fast here now, these penalties. Stewart's definitely not holding back here tonight at Interlagos. As Brad, Pavlison and McCarthy are still fighting it out in this train of cars. Obviously, these guys were battling for the lead a few laps ago before they came in for their pit stops. ZX10 of the race leader has gone a long, long way on his medium tyres, and I think without a doubt has got to be one stopping here. Wants to get as far into this first stint as he can to guarantee that the hards will be able to go to the end, and he's staying out at least one more lap here, so that means he's going to do 30 laps minimum on his medium tyres. That means he's going to have to do 41 on the hards as at most, if he's indeed one stopping, which I think he'd be silly not to at this point. Clen is closing up onto this battle between Pavlison, Brad and McCarthy, and these guys are also closing in on Formula C, who's on those hard tyres which he put on 13 laps ago. Pavlison in the meantime getting ahead of Brad, as these guys continuing to just change their leader. Obviously they're rotating here, bit of the old drafting going on, bit of NASCAR between these guys, but as long as they don't hold each other up, they should be able to reel in the Sauber. They're saying that they aren't really working together here. They are kind of holding each other up, because Formula C on those hard tyres is actually pulling away at the moment, despite having been on those for the last 13 laps. So it does look like these guys are kind of playing havoc with each other at the moment, and this could really derail these two's chances of winning the race. Also McCarthy, who's been caught up behind them a little bit at this stage. Pavlison also on the soft tyres as well, which is even more trouble at this point in the race, I'd have to say. I think Clen's probably my favourite, most likely for the win here tonight. the one who's kind of got all the options here tonight, as ZX Tenor is into the pits here at the end of lap 30. How do you imagine now the race leader having come in early on for the hard tyres, obviously got a fat undercut, but that will balance out over the course of the stint, or over the course of the race, because he'll have to come in at least one more time. But also, for the rest of this stint, his tyres are going to be a little bit down on grip compared to the others. But Glenn is currently reeling in these leaders here. It's in the foreground there. Pavlison still keeping Brad at bay. We've got SLH there with a fast lap of the race on 111.0 here on lap 30. See there, Pavlison got a little bit wide there onto the grass. Brad now reeling him in here as they come through this final corner, and he's going to have a golden opportunity here as Brad to take P3 away from Pavlison. This could be the net lead, as he's now made that move. Clen's also moved ahead of McCarthy here up into P5 as he really closed up onto the back of Pavlison there into turn 1. Clen is flying along on these hard tyres. They're not much fresher than these guys, but at the same time, after a few laps, the tyres really do burn up, so Clen will be feeling the benefit later on in this stint as well. Plus the fact he could potentially even go to the end of the race here, so he's in a prime position right now. Is the McLaren driver, the two-time champion of the purple sector, Formula 1 League here. Last night commentated on him getting pole position for the Misfits League, and then he got taken out in turn 1, which was pretty disastrous, you have to say. I'm sure he'll be fuming about that one. Brad here is on the back of Pavlison. See Brad here moving ahead of Pavlison into P3. Oh, it's Pavlison late on the brakes there down the inside into turn 1 and almost loses it there as he goes through the corner. Brad's going to be getting frustrated with this because he's really being held up now, as we've now got Clen here looking to the inside. Do it at your own risk, Clen, as they are now 3 wide here going down towards turn 4. Pavlison there turns into Clen. What is he doing? Oh, it's not the first time that something ridiculous has happened in this race because of him. Oh my goodness, there's Pavlison and Clem way down the order. Brad continues on his merry way, McCarthy on the back of him. But what on earth was Pavlison doing there? No spatial awareness. Oh, I feel for Clen because that was just ridiculous. That was ridiculous. I have no words. Always grinding there, moving ahead of M. Harry here. As M. Harry also loses out to Andrew Pittsmith. Andrew Pittsmith there up into P15. McCarthy here is still on the back of Brad in the fight for third place now. Brad let off the hook slightly with now he hasn't got the Red Bull on the back of him. Pavlison has rage quit, whilst Clen soldiers on like a trooper here. He'll come in for a set of hard tyres and he'll try and salvage some points, but it's going to be hard at this point. He's also got a 10-second penalty for speeding as well, which I can't say I'm surprised at, you know, with the way that this race has gone for him. Having been in such a good position, he has unfortunately retired from the race, but that was just so unnecessary from Pavlison. I really don't know why he had to move across like that. I mean, surely you could see there was a car on the inside going into the corner. Surely. He was trying to make the move on Brad. He was trying to pull to the inside to move ahead, going into the corner. They weren't turning into the corner. They were coming towards the braking zone, and obviously Patterson was trying to make the overtake, moved to the inside, and Clen was there on the inside also trying to do the same thing. I mean, Clen had a run, you know, he was entitled to be there. He had a heck of a run on the other two. He was going quicker down that straight, and yeah, just the gap just ended up closing. But McCarthy here still ahead of Murph and ZX10er in this fight for P4. But Brad has managed to just get a little bit down the road here, and at this point in the race, I have to say I think that Brad's probably got to be the favourite for this race win. I feel for Clen. This was a great chance for him to win a race here tonight at Red Arrows. It's gone begging through no fault of his own. But nonetheless, we're on to lap 36 of the race. Halfway point here in this Brazilian Grand Prix. So I did say to myself, because I know that I can do maximum 1 hour clips on this, and obviously I'm not streaming live, I'm saving video clips and uploading them, so I'm gonna just end the first part here, and then the set part 2 will be coming up. If you're watching this after the race, then, or if you're watching it overnight, then the second part should be uploading. It might even have uploaded by now, so check it out. If you're watching on the playlist, then yeah, wait for the next video.